Hello and welcome. This is Michele Christensen, and this is a Plan With Me video for the month of April 2018. Now, I myself am an avid OneNote user, and I use OneNote to keep just about everything in my life organized and moving forward. I'm a YouTube creator, blogger at onenoteworthylife.com, and I host the OneNote Bullet Journal Facebook group. So, in this video, I'm going to walk you through how I do my setup from one month to the next. I'll start with a review of last month, which in this case is March, and then move on to how I have set up April. I've already done the setup, and the reason I'm filming after I've done the setup is because I don't really have any particular OneNote tips or tricks to show you in this video. It's all pretty basic pages. And also, I use this time to really reflect and think about what I'm doing and set some new goals. And so I want to be able to take my time with that, which is why I'm walking you through after I've already done this process. So the first thing I do when I'm changing from month to month is I review my goals. So in this case, that is March. So I have a page with March goals on it, which you'll see when I set up April's goals. And the plain black text is what I originally wrote, and then I usually use a different color to indicate when I'm making comments or, thoughts about it. So in this case, I've made my reflection or comments in blue, and the blue doesn't really mean anything. I pick a different color depending on whatever mood I'm in, but the black is what I originally wrote, and the blue is my comments on it. So the first goal I had was to get my is a calorie goal. So I had a really eventful 2017, and so I had put on some weight. So I'm working on getting back to my ideal healthy body weight. So I set a calorie goal for each day, and I've been notching that up slowly. I found that to be really effective for me because my body doesn't get used to it. I can kind of sneak it in under the wire. So my calorie goal was to have a calorie deficit of about 90 per day for the month of March, and I nailed it. I had a calorie deficit of about 168 per day for the month of March. So I'm very excited about that. The next big goal I have is to get my sleep on track. So my sleep had gotten way off track with this, eventful 2017, and we're now 3 months into 2018, and I feel like things are finally beginning to get back on track. Now, sleep's a big topic, but one of the concrete steps I'm taking is to stop using my tablet before bedtime. I had mentioned this in a prior video, but I got really into using my tablet before bed, and sometimes I would even be on it for an hour or more, doing things like playing games, reading, surfing the web, whatever. And I felt like it really was not helping my sleep. It was too stimulating. It was too fun. And sometimes I would go to bed and I would feel like I had been thinking all night when I woke up. So that wasn't good. So my goal for March was to use my tablet only on Saturday nights. And I feel like that's kind of like it's the middle of the weekend and it's not a big deal if I stay up a little bit later and don't have perfect sleep. So my goal was to do Saturday and one other night of the week, and I did great on that. I had actually more days than that on target, and the choice not to use the tablet is getting easier. What I've noticed is that tracking this has actually changed the way I feel about it, because I'm able to correlate the nights when I use the tablet to not feeling so good the next day. And I think with all of the stuff in the planner community that we talk about with tracking and why you want to pay attention to things, this is sort of the gist of it, is to change a bad behavior, we pay attention to it, and then when we can see how it affects, or, in this case, it affects the quality of my next day, it makes it easier not to do that thing. So I actually feel really good about this. It's actually starting to feel almost like you might feel about like junk food or something like that, where it's fine for an occasional treat, but it doesn't make me feel good, and it doesn't make me sleep good, and I sacrifice quality the next day when I use my tablet too much before bed. So that was a big change that happened this month, and it's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited about it. And it was also something I didn't expect. I thought this was just going to be one of those habits that I was always going to have to push against and use self-discipline to stop doing, and it's actually kind of becoming something that I want to do because it makes me feel better the next day, and it gives me better quality of life the very next day. So another thing I'm doing to get my sleep on track is to continue to track what time I get up, and I'm just dialing that back week by week, slow but sure. And you'll see that I do this with a lot of my goals. People have different ways that they approach goals, and some people like to make really big steps. I find that just slow and steady works for me. I like just making slow, gradual changes, comfortable, easy steps, and just continuous progress. And it really works well for me. So yeah, I've been doing good with just dialing back, getting up a little earlier every day. And with that, of course, the bedtime gets on track as well. So I have this personal project I have been working on. I got the first part done in March, so I feel really good about that. And now I'm working on the second part. So another thing I wanted to begin working on and just thinking about is an end of day progress. I felt like I just didn't have a good sense of when to finish for the day, and sometimes I'd be staying up late doing things because I just didn't have a good sense of when I'm done for the day. Probably like you, I have literally hundreds or thousands of things I could be working on at any moment, so there needs to be like a hard line at which you say, I'm done for the day, I'm going to bed. So one of the things that's been working really well is I use the critical tag in OneNote to say that these are things that have to be done today. And I'm just going to demo that for you real quick. My cursor is right here before the word use in this second bullet under work toward. And I'm going to click up here in where we have the to-do list tag, and there is this red exclamation point that says critical. And you can see that that bullet now has this red exclamation point next to it. And that marks it as critical. So in the morning when I'm setting up my day, I go through and mark just a couple of things as critical, like the things that really need to be done that day. And when the nighttime comes, I know if I've gotten those things done, I'm probably in good shape for the day. So around March 7th, I started adding a lights out time and tying it to my wake up time to make sure that I got to bed on time, because that's important for getting proper sleep as well. And that's been working out really well. And I have also been dialing back. I mentioned this in a prior video. I love cold brew coffee, and I've gotten really into it, and I brew my own and stuff. And so I had been having a cold brew coffee, which is really strong, in the afternoon. And I think I had started having that too late in the day, and that was interfering with my sleep. So I've been dialing that back as well. And the earlier I'm going to bed, the earlier that second coffee needs to be. So that's been really helpful as well. And these might sound like little things, but when you think about it, your sleep is really important to quality of life, to productivity, and it's also been tied to a lot of health issues and health risks. So these things might seem small, and they might be obvious to you, but they weren't obvious to me until I started tracking. So that has really been valuable with this tracking process. And I still want to work on some final wind down and routine, activities or routines for the day. So my final goal for the month of March was to think about how I can prune my daily setup. It still takes me a long time in the morning to set up my day. And I want to figure out how I can shave some time and be a little more efficient, hit the ground running a little more quickly. So around the 9th of March, I stopped doing a page I had been doing, which was daily accomplishments. It just wasn't serving me anymore. It was something I had started doing, I don't know, sometime maybe last year, where I would write down the things that I accomplished on the day. And I realize now that, I have my calendar where I record something good that happened, and I also have my daily page where it actually has tasks checked off. And then I do a lot of goal setting and review, so I just didn't need this extra layer of stuff. So I got rid of that, so I did take a little bit off. I'm also beginning to do a little bit of planning the night before, and I think this is going to help me a lot to, just kind of hit the ground running in the morning. So just going to keep, moving that forward. So the next part of my review for last month is a section I call What Else? So in this section, I just write down anything that came up, expected, unexpected, good, bad, indifferent, like what impacted the month. So first thing is I hit all my editorial goals. So I published all my scheduled content mostly on time this month. But this is really exciting because when I first started creating YouTube content and my blog, and I had trouble creating just the format of the schedule and the calendar and how all the pieces fit together and how to track all that. And then it took me a while to get into a groove where I could make a schedule and hit it. And so I finally did that in March. I actually hit all my all the content that I wanted to send or publish was published. So in general, I'm feeling really excited. My YouTube channel is really rocking, so I'm really excited about that. And the Take Note chat is also doing really well. I'll put a link to that. That's a live chat I do every month with Jared DeCamp of Class and Office. So I'm also feeling more spacious. I feel like more things are happening. I'm getting more done, and like I have more time for things. I'm beginning to get a sense of I have time for all the things I want to do. They just have to happen in sequence. Like they can't all happen now. So I've been getting some physical therapy. It's going great. I love it. It's fabulous. And then the other thing that happened in March is I had 2 date nights with my husband. This was something that we had decided to start doing in March, because along with all this eventful stuff that happened in 2017, we just got really off kilter with our recreation activities. We haven't been riding bikes as much, we haven't been going out and doing fun things, and we live in this fabulous area with all this great stuff to do. And so we really decided this needs to be a priority. So we created a plan where we have 2 date nights, or they could be days, nights, whatever, per month, and he plans one and I plan one. So that was really fun. I really enjoyed that. So the next part of my March review is how I'm coming along with my pruning. So pruning is my theme for 2018. I have a separate video which I will link to, but the idea is I want less on my plate, less going on. I want more time to do things and less time managing things. So this concept is definitely helping me to think more clearly, but I still feel like too much just kind of creeps in day to day, like my lists grow and things like that. So I definitely want to stay on top of that creeping. My daily task list is still way too big. I'm considering creating a daily template that will limit me to only, like, say 10 items per day. I'm thinking about it. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. Generally, I don't like things that feel forced. I like to sort of ease my way into things and gradually trim back. So I'm not sure if I want to do that or not, but I'm thinking about it. And then I still have this sort of miscellaneous task list that I had created at one point, because I think my daily page had gotten too big before I started pruning it. So I want to get rid of that. It's just this random thing, and it doesn't belong anywhere. So the final part of my March review is to look at my annual plan, what I had thought my annual, my March was going to look like when I did my annual plan. So I had planned on getting my dogs to the vet because their license comes up for renewal in March. I did postpone this, and I did it intentionally because I did not need to see the vet to get their license. They didn't have any shots due or anything. So just to give myself a little extra time for things that are really important, critical time-wise, I postponed it. Not going to postpone it forever. They do need their checkup to stay healthy. But for now, it's I'll probably do it sometime in the next few weeks. I did get their license renewed on time, so I was really excited about that. And then this crossed off item was my husband and I were going to see a show, and as we started to look at some of the options and stuff, it just seemed like it was too much work, too much logistics, too much planning and stuff like that. And we have too many fun things we can do really easily, so we just decided to kind of not do that. Not now. Maybe later, maybe not. The final thing I thought I was going to get to in March was to I have a website on hold that I'm going to put up for my mother, and I've had the URL for over a year, and we just had not been able to pin down time to do a work session so we can figure out what needs to go on it and stuff. And I actually did say, okay, so if we're not going to work on it, when do you want me to follow up with you? And we decided that toward the end of May I would follow up with her. And what I feel good about is that, in keeping with the theme of pruning, instead of just leaving this thing hanging out there as sort of something that's currently on my plate, I've taken it out of my current view. It's not part of my current thinking. It's not part of my current processes or anything. It's just something I have a reminder set for May, so it's not on my mind now. So I feel good about that, because I think in the past I would have just let that linger and kept seeing it every day and kept thinking about it. So the last thing I want to show you for March is this is my March calendar. This is a lot of fun. I don't really use this for appointments or anything. This is just I write down one good thing that happened every day. And it's one of the last things I do before going to bed, so I do like to end my day on a high note. And you can see up at the top of the screen here, I have this tablet-free bedtime highlighted in green. And so each day of the month where I don't take my tablet to bed, I use that green highlight, and that's how I figure out if I'm on track with that or not. So that's it. That's the review for April. Now I'm ready. I'm sorry, the review for March. Now I'm ready to set up April. So the first thing I do is look at my April annual plan. So this is what I thought April was going to look like when I made my annual plan back at the beginning of the year. And one of the great things about doing plans in OneNote is that it's so easy to change and edit. I love not being locked in like that, or having to cross things out or run out of room. So I had planned in April that we were going to go away for a weekend, and I'm not sure if that's going to happen now. We're just kind of enjoying all the easy fun things we have to do, so we may not go to all the trouble of packing up and going away for a weekend, since there's so many fun things we can do that are just a few minutes away. So we'll see. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. I was also going to start thinking about getting our house termite tented. I think that might be a Southern California thing where they put like a big tent over your house to get rid of any termites. I don't really need to have that done yet, so I might put that off until later in the year. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out. I was going to do the inspection this month, but again, I don't know. There might be things that are more pressing. So next I set my April goals, and usually what I do is just make a copy of the last month's goal page and then update it. So for my calorie goal, I'm going to go with -110 per day, and I'm upping this by 20 rather than 10. I've been taking these nice tiny little steps of just 10 at a time. The reason I'm going up by 20 is because I have really nailed this goal, way over exceeded it the last few months, and so this feels like a nice small step. I feel like I can easily do it and stuff, so I'm totally cool with that. Continuing with getting my sleep on track, I'm going to continue the tablet-free bedtime. And so I'm going to dial back just a little bit this month, and I'm going to go with Saturday nights and just 3 other days total for the month. There are 4 weekends in April, so if I was following my March plan, it would be 8, well, it would be Saturdays plus 4 other days. Now it's going to be Saturday and 3. And I'm hoping that within a month or two that this will just be something I do maybe some Saturdays, and that it's I don't even need to track it or think about it anymore. So I'm going to continue to track what time I get up and keep dialing it back week by week. And then this was something new I decided to try. I'm going to turn my phone to black and white. Most phones have a setting where your screen can actually show up in black and white rather than color. And a friend turned me onto this idea, and one of the things it does is it makes the phone sort of less tempting, less exciting, less stimulating. And the reason I'm going to do this every night is because I was finding that while I was doing really good with not taking my tablet to bed, my phone use before bed was starting to creep up. And so I don't want to get rid of one bad habit only to replace it with one slightly less bad habit. So I'm going to do that. I have an alarm set on my phone every night for 9 p.m. to switch the display to black and white. So I have to continue working on those bonds, hope to get those done within the next month or two. And I'm going to continue working toward an end-of-day process and use that critical tag. That's been really helpful. And still going to work on how to cut time off of my daily setup. It still feels cumbersome. And for my content, I'm going to, since I met my goal last month, I'm going to up that a little bit, and I'm going to do 1 video per week plus 1. So that'll be 5 videos total for the month of March. And then I have a new YouTube playlist that I'm launching, and I don't want to say what it is right now, but I'm very excited about it, and it's something that's been asked for, and it should be my very next video. So yeah, I'm excited about that. So the last thing I do is set up an April calendar, and this is the calendar for April. I have a couple days filled in already. And for April, to mark my tablet-free bedtimes, I'm using this up at the top of the screen here. There is an emoji, and I think it's a cell phone, actually, with the word off next to it. But I thought that was close enough, and I like to just do something a little bit different every month just to keep it sort of interesting and fun. So that's it. I am now all set up for April, and It might seem like this takes a lot of time, but it doesn't really take that much time. Like I said, maybe an hour or two. And it's extremely helpful to me to have this built-in reflection time and to really make sure that I'm spending my time in a way that's consistent with what I want from my life and what I've said my goals are. So if you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them. Just leave them in the comments of this video. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the thumbs up button so I know you like this. And if you want to see more videos like this, including that new playlist that I talked about, you can subscribe by hitting the subscribe button. Thanks for watching and have a great day. Bye-bye.